Have you ever wondered how much you can really afford to withdraw from your stock portfolio and still maintain a high likelihood you won't run out of money before you die? You've probably heard of the 4% rule, but some financial experts say that rule is too optimistic. Others say it's too conservative. So who's right? Today we're going to compare some of the biggest names in personal finance, Suze Orman and Bill Bengen, the man who invented the 4% rule. We'll look at what each of them says about safe withdrawal rates, and then at the end I'll give you my thoughts on the very best way to make sure your money lasts as long as you do. Let's start with Suze Orman. In a recent interview covered by MSN, she declared flat out that the 4% rule is dead. Her concern is simple: markets are volatile. Interest rates fluctuate. People are living longer. And if you blindly follow a rule that was built on assumptions from the early 90s, you could easily outlive your money. Orman says that for most people, 3% is a much safer starting point. So instead of following the 4% rule and withdrawing $40,000 a year on a $1 million portfolio, she'd tell you to take out just $30,000. That extra cushion, she says, is what gives you peace of mind when the market turns south or inflation spikes. Now let's look at Bill Bengen, the retired aerospace engineer turned financial planner who first coined the 4% rule back in 1994. Back then, he analyzed historical data on U.S. stocks and bonds to find the withdrawal rate that would have survived every 30-year retirement period on record. That number, 4%, became the famous safe withdrawal rate. But here's the interesting part. Bengen himself says the rule has changed. In a recent MSN article, Bengen updated his research and concluded that based on current data, a 4.7% withdrawal rate is now sustainable, and possibly even higher under the right conditions. He points out that today's retirees have access to better diversification, small cap stocks, international funds, and more modern bond structures which can increase portfolio longevity. He also says that retirees should consider market valuations at the time they retire. If stocks are cheap, you can start higher. If valuations are rich, start lower. So while Suze Orman is tightening the belt to 3%, Bengen is loosening it to almost 5%. He still insists that the key is balance, a mix of stocks and bonds, disciplined rebalancing, and the willingness to adjust over time. But overall, his outlook is more optimistic. He's essentially saying 4% isn't sacred. With proper diversification, you can safely take a little more. Okay. Let's put their views side by side. Suze Orman says the 4% rule is dead. She favors 3%, sometimes even less. A conservative approach is better given the uncertainties in the marketplace. Bill Bengen says the 4% rule is alive and well. In fact, it might even be 4.7. He trusts the math, the data, and a disciplined long-term approach. Orman fears overspending. Bengen fears underspending. Orman is about safety and sleep-at-night security. Bengen is about efficiency, maximizing what your money can safely provide. They both want you to avoid running out of money. They just take different paths to get there. But here's the problem with both of their approaches. They're assuming the most efficient way to purge longevity risk from your portfolio is through a conventional asset allocation approach to investing. What if there's a better way that allows you to wring more efficiency from your retirement savings? What if there's a third option, a tool that allows you to enjoy higher withdrawal rates without taking more risk? An approach that allows you to mitigate longevity risk much less expensively than the traditional approach. That's where guaranteed lifetime income annuities come into play. Let me explain how these work in the simplest possible terms. When you purchase a guaranteed lifetime income annuity, you're transferring a portion of your retirement savings to an insurance company in exchange for a guaranteed paycheck for life. That income never runs out, no matter how long you live, no matter what happens in the stock market. And that one change, eliminating longevity risk from your retirement picture, completely transforms the math behind safe withdrawal rates. Here's why. Imagine you have $1 million saved for retirement. If you follow Suze Orman's 3% rule, you can only withdraw $30,000 in your first year of retirement, adjusted for inflation every year thereafter. If you follow Bill Bengen's updated 4.7% rule, you'd withdraw $47,000 your first year of retirement, adjusted for inflation every year thereafter. But what if you guaranteed your living expenses through a guaranteed lifetime income annuity? Let's say your income needed in retirement above what Social Security provides is $40,000 per year. Under Suze's approach, you'd need to accumulate $1.333 million by day one of retirement. Under Bill Bengen's approach, you'd need to accumulate $851,063 by day one of retirement. What if you could get a guaranteed lifetime income annuity that gave you that same $40,000 adjusted each year for inflation for only $700,000. Now, obviously, this is going to depend on interest rates at the time you begin the annuity, but these are the types of withdrawal rates we've been seeing of late. That would save you over $150,000 compared to the Bill Bengen approach, and over $600,000 compared to the Suze Orman approach. And what could you do with all those savings? How about investing them in the stock market as a pool of discretionary savings against a day of need or opportunity? Maybe you want to fix that hole in your roof or take your grandkids to Disney World. That's the power of guaranteed lifetime income. It simply purges longevity risk from your retirement picture much less expensively than the traditional stock market approach. Now, to be clear, not all annuities are created equal. You need to understand fees, credit ratings, inflation riders, and surrender periods. But when properly structured as part of a broader retirement income plan, annuities can raise your effective withdrawal rate far beyond what the traditional 3% or 4.7% rules would allow. They reduce your reliance on unpredictable market returns. They protect against longevity risk, and they give you permission to enjoy your retirement years instead of worrying about your portfolio's day-to-day performance. So let's recap. Suze Orman believes the 4% rule is too risky and favors a cautious 3% approach with an emphasis on guaranteed income and cash reserves. Bill Bengen believes the 4% rule can safely stretch to 4.7% or more when you're properly diversified and disciplined. But both of them are looking at the world through a portfolio-only lens. Once you introduce guaranteed lifetime income in the form of an annuity, the conversation shifts completely. Your safe withdrawal rate is no longer defined by market performance. It's defined by how much of your income you can lock in for life. That's the secret to turning uncertainty into predictability and worry into peace of mind. If you'd like to learn more about how to create a retirement plan that can never run out of money, even if you live to age 100 or beyond, I go into much greater detail in my book, Tax-Free Income for Life. In that book, I show you how to combine tax-free investing strategies with guaranteed lifetime income to achieve the holy grail of retirement planning, predictable, inflation-adjusted, tax-free cash flow that's guaranteed to last as long as you do. So if you found today's discussion helpful, grab a copy of Tax-Free Income for Life wherever books are sold and learn how to build a retirement plan that lets you sleep at night no matter what's happening in the market or the geopolitical scene. If you'd like help implementing this strategy, head over to davidmcknight.com and click on the Connect with an Advisor button. I'm happy to refer you to a Power Zero advisor in my network that has been trained, vetted, and qualified personally by me. And if you have any comments, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is Dave McKnight. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video.